Live. Hello, hello, amazing people. It is your host, Marie and Flea, here again for the beautiful Age of Awakening Soulful Stories Unveiled. It has been a beautiful day, the 22nd of the 2nd. It's magic numbers today. Flea, how are you feeling this morning?
Oh, it started off crazy, but I was just saying before to beautiful Jax, our lovely guest, that it has been hectic with internet and technology just going crazy. It's almost like time has sped up. We had all of this time this morning, and now all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock already. It's like I was up at 5. What happened? This is crazy. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm getting a lot of information around movement and choices and decisions, and this is I guess, the precipice of where we're headed in this lovely conversation. So, really excited to see how to jump into it, really.
Yeah, beautiful. And our gorgeous guest on today, Jax Faulkner. Beautiful Jax, I met maybe a couple of years ago through some other beautiful friends and connections. And I started following you on the socials and just, loved your energy, your content. And I think I came to one of your amazing events, the Pink Party, was it last year or the year before? And that felt like an activation with the pink energies and the stepping up into connecting more with amazing people and just getting to meet you. And I know we've been talking on different platforms and spaces, and your journey has been just mind-blowingly amazing. And we're so excited to share more about who you are and, some of the pieces that have really shifted and catalyzed you stepping into your greatness. So, Jax, for our listeners, we'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's really, I feel really honored and feel really grateful to be here. And yeah, just really appreciative of, what you are both, bringing forth and connecting everyone in this way and offering these beautiful stories so we can, engage and also influence and inspire each other through our stories. So thank you. Introduction of me, it changes every single day. I am an everyday, not everyday person. It depends what day it is. But honestly, I am literally an everyday woman that has tattoos on her face, shaved her head a few years ago, has made really bold moves and choices to really honor my divine assignment, which is, in fact, one of discovery every single day. I am very passionate about I guess I'm very passionate about experiencing life. I have a undiagnosed uh, FOMO of the next version of myself. So I have a genuine fear of missing out on the next version of myself. And this has been what pulls me into whatever version I feel called to become. And it isn't because I actually feel like I need to get anywhere or want anything. It is literally a moment by moment experience. And over the years, really the catalyst to that was, I literally in my first 30 years of my life have been blessed to experience a society and a framework and narratives and beliefs and conditionings that have really given me an opportunity to choose who I really want to become, because in that space it was not conducive to the full potential of who I can become and my soul. So it wasn't until I experienced massive loss in my life, and I mean, I hear of this, and honestly, I do relate to it, that the age of 33 being the activation of Christ consciousness, and it really felt like that for me. It felt like 33 was when I was crucified, My human was crucified,
Mm.
my soul to activate, and I had to lose everything to choose to become everything. And it's that space that my journey of soul, my journey of, you could call it awakening, I like to call it remembering, started.
Powerful. Powerful. I
But
loved how you
33
framed.
too.
Yeah, we had a beautiful guest on early this morning, and we were talking about numbers and numerology, and he was all the way from Ireland, and we talked about that the beauty in the numbers, and the 33. And I feel even in my own experience and journey, it was around that 33, 34 when I was trying for my second child that catalyzed me back into this phoenix moment where I experienced loss and grief and through miscarriages and these narratives of what it is to be a mother and what society expects you to do. And even my own mother being Filipino, hurry up and have another one, hurry up and have another one. The big family side
Do it.
of that magic, and that again sent me down a path of coming back to my body, coming back to questioning who I am. And I know, Flea, you've had a very similar experience in a different way too.
Yeah, I can't say that my awakening happened at 33. I've always kind of felt like I was awake, and it was almost like a shutting down. So it was like a reverse reawakening in that sense. It was like, okay, no, I want to be normal. I grew up in the world where, the hippies and the crystals and the alternate lifestyle, like that was all normal for me. And it's like, no, I just want to be normal. And even with conversations with my mum, she's been like, oh yeah, you always just told me, put on a dress, mum. Why won't you put on a dress? She was very much the tattoos, biker chick with the inappropriately short skirts and the boobs hanging out and everything at school. So, no, mum, I want to be normal, to the point that it actually almost confined me in a way that is really, really hard to move back out of. It's like, okay, I've had these beliefs. I knew that they were present, but then I rejected them in myself. And that rejection has sort of come about in such a harsh, very rude awakening in that sense. It's like, okay, no, now you need to be yourself. And say, okay, let's listen. And yeah, so my experience a little bit different, because I was very, very aware of it from a very young age. And I guess that's this new world that we're coming into. So many children are. I had a conversation with a beautiful young boy yesterday. He's talking about like the frequency and the energy in the room. And it was like, wow, I haven't had this yet. Like, this is interesting. Like being able to go to school and actually hear that language reverted back to you. It's like, I'm liking this more and more. So yeah, it's different, but very, very unusual, and definitely something that makes you more aware of yourself in such a beautiful way.
And that self-awareness journey, when we come to those moments where we feel resistance, I know, Jax, I've heard you speak about feeling that if it's a resistance piece, there's been a lot of I suppose, beautiful bits of wisdom that you've shared on your journey with your amazing audience. Like on your path, like for people that are listening in that are feeling that resistance, they've, noticed their parts of these narratives and these stories that they may be facing. Like, what's your, I suppose, advice and your experience on how you've navigated that and help others around you do that?
Yeah, thank you. What a great question. I feel like we have, well, I'll speak for myself. I grew up conditioned to have a relationship to the concept of pain and challenges, to a point of avoiding pain and challenges. So avoid pain. And it's also a very primal instinct for us. And as we evolve and as we grow, and over time, even from the age of losing a tooth, we realize that the energy continues to move. Evolution continues with or without us, right? It continues. We continue to evolve. And I think it's very important, first and foremost, is to really ask ourselves what our relationship to challenges and pain is, what we've actually made of it. And one of the most defining moments for me, and I guess we have many. For me, it was literally an experience with money. And really, I think it's a very common experience. And that's why I want to share about it. And really going deep into my own narrative and beliefs around money. And it was a time where I literally had no money. I lost an entire business. I went through an experience of being in over $300,000 of debt because we invested $500,000 into a restaurant that was not even my money. And in that time, experienced going through a divorce, experience my father dying, experienced my best friend dying, all in the space of 2 years, all of this. And the recovery from that wasn't just a matter of moving forward and going, oh, cool, like I've lost everything, I'm just going to get a job. There's so much that is unspoken in those experiences when it comes to shame and self-judgment and those really, really shadowy experiences of emotion that are what really does push people over the edge or paralyze us. And there's that small fragment of our soul in a time like that we have to force louder. We have to force louder, and that's the part of us that relates to life in a really healthy way, that it keeps going. I've just got to keep going. I've just got to keep going. Success is inevitable. So in this moment when I was faced with this experience of I literally turned 35 years old, and I was bored with my life. I was bored with where I was. I was bored with the trajectory if I remained in what I was doing, which was in hospitality for over 20 years. And I was asking questions throughout the years. There must be a better way. I remember a time where I walked out and I was so stressed of life and trying, and I walked out and I screamed to Jesus, help me. There must be a better way. I surrender. Just use me for your work. I'm done with trying. I surrender. That was 2 years before the moment that was the opportunity to literally shift my timeline, right? And I was asking for it. I was asking for it. There must be a way where I can literally earn an income just by being me. How is that? Like, that must be possible. I'd been listening to Abraham Hicks. I'd been listening to Oprah. These were my mentors, my free mentors, because I was YouTubing them every time I had a problem. And it opened my awareness of possibility. There must be a way. There has to be a way. It's absurd that this doesn't exist. And of course, I met with the opportunity, and of course, there is always a cost. But on the surface, the cost is resources. And when you don't have resources, and we allow those resources to be an authority of who we can become and how resourceful we can be, that is in that moment where I was faced off with, because I was like, okay, I need to find $13,000, and I have $60 to my name, full stop. $5 of that was in a bank account, and the rest was in a money tin that I had to open. I had to open that money tin to get the rest out, but I had to spend that $5 to buy a can opener to go into that money, right? To find that I only had $60, and that was to buy food for my kids for Christmas, because I already bought presents, I didn't have food. This was my reality at 35 years old. I didn't want that anymore. But I only knew what I knew and had what I had. And so for me to find $13,000 somewhere to start like a whole new life, a whole new opportunity, I didn't have it. It was in that moment where I got to really experience my relationship to money and my relationship to life. I had to ask deep questions. What am I actually afraid of? Why am I afraid of that? this relates to any subject, any circumstances, whether it's money, whether it's something that is like a dream that is challenging, but it's like you're in this moment that you're like terrified and paralyzed. Can be anything. Going for a job interview, going for like a rehearsal or something. It's asking those questions. What am I actually afraid of, and why am I afraid of it? And the more that we can literally go there with ourselves and notice how absurd our fear is in a world where we're so conditioned to try and survive, when our soul is like, what? You're already alive. Why do you need to survive when you're already alive? Right?
Mm.
And so in going deep into that, to realize how absurd the conditioning is. That's when I realized that I was in invisible prison bars and they were created by what I believed in. So in that moment
Mm.
when I could see, and I was like, wow, that is really strange that I actually think that I'm actually afraid to ask someone for money because I have a story that they'll think I'm pathetic. Where does that come from? I
Mm.
wouldn't think. Why do I believe that? Whose was that? Whose was that? It literally streamed through the line of our ancestors, a line of poverty. The line I came from poverty, born in poverty. That's what I was combating. I was combating these narratives that literally lived in my bloodline,
Mm.
that lived in the conditioning of this lifetime. And I had to have the courage to go, hang on for a second. Is that what I want to pass on to my children? Do I actually want to pass that on to my children? And if not, I have to change it today.
Yeah.
Instantly changed it. Instantly time collapsed. Instantly I found a way. Within a day I had $13,000
Wow.
because I recreated my relationship to money. I recreated my relationship to my desires. I recreated my relationship to success. And in
Mm.
that, I embodied the future version of myself. And so to answer that question, it's a sequence. Get really clear. Ask yourself those deep questions.
What?
What am I actually afraid of? Get to the point of absurdity. I guarantee you will. And then use the actions that your future self that has it all, that has created everything, that has the team, that has the organization, that has everything. What kind of decisions would you be making when everything is intact, everything is here? It wouldn't be the same ones that you're afraid to make now because you've already done that. So you have to travel forward to collapse time.
So what would you say for the people that don't actually understand like what that wound is? Like I know for myself it was something that was brought up recently, and it was like, oh, money makes people sick. It makes them evil, and like this tainting idea around this idea that anyone that has a lot of it is corrupt, and you've either got to be super hardworking to earn it validly and to actually be, I guess, perceived as somebody that is hardworking, and that is the value within the money system that way. And it's like, but why am I working so hard to make so little, and I'm still not getting to live with it? Like, I'm not getting to live with the money I'm making. It's like it's just sitting there to pay more bills to create more work, and that toxic cycle of where did that come, like this belief, and like what do I do now that I know, like how do I shift out of that? Because like we said, I grew up in poverty as well. There was a lot of criminal activity that ended up you know eventuating throughout my life, and that was all stuff that was witnessed, and I watched the destruction of those sort of things. So what do we do when we realize there is a problem, because we're obviously in lack and we're not getting it what we truly desire?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step?
We can't fix a bike while we're riding it. We have to get off.
It's a cool.
We have to take
Mm.
space. We have to look at it with due diligence. We have to pick up new tools. And
Yeah.
it's we have to work on the bike. We have to be in action. So it's not a instantaneous, like, oh my God, the layers and layers that I've had to journey in the last 5 years to even just be completely and utterly disattached, completely neutralized with my relationship with money has taken 5 years of facing off with every single moment that I felt resistance. So this you were sharing before, Marie, about your relationship with your body, is that there is a part of us that can move forward, and then there is a part of us that won't. And it's when that part of us that won't, for whatever reason, that is going against the grain of your own momentum of evolution. That is going against the grain. It's actually pedaling. It's like rowing against your current. But if you could have that, if you could be connected to your senses in the space of, well, actually, I want that, but it's when that but comes up, but I, but that's when you got to go in there, and it's in the moment. It's not going to be from reading a book. You know, I said to my husband, he's working with a men's mentor right now for some, for his own development. And there's some things that have come up in his life, and he's like, "Oh, I've been doing the work." It's like, you haven't even started the work yet. When you can face off with the thing that you're working, like you're wanting to do the work for, it's not going to happen in a conversation. It's not going to happen. These are all invitations and inspiration, but it's you executing and creating new evidence against the fear that is literally, our beliefs are a sequence of thoughts thought over and over and over and over and over again. And the reason why we believe it is because we continue to repeat the same evidence over and over and over and over and over again. And until we can actually disrupt that program by doing something completely and utterly different to what we would usually, we will never have an opportunity to create new evidence, therefore a whole new belief system.
Yeah.
New evidence. I love that. That's really cool.
I love that. Just letting that land. And that disruption piece. I know you've spoken about this before, particularly thinking about my own journey in the last even 6 months, really stepping into taking big risks and, asking millionaires to jump on interviews and creating relationships with people and going into venues and asking them about this or that, or just being bold. And I'm like, I would have never gone into the local minister's office and asked her to open my event that's coming up next week. And they said yes, and she's available, and just connecting with people. And you spoke about these resources, and I love that analogy of get off the bike. And I feel like, the last particularly 3 years, and also working with Flea, getting off the bike, bringing our vision, working all the things, refining, taking the baby steps to trial and error, knowing that it's still the right path, but there's like those initiations that have to happen. And I feel, this mastery of money in this beautiful gift that we get to use, and reframing this opportunity to leverage exchange in this way is, again, a part of the learnings of this lifetime. And I feel for me, really honing in on, well, how can I master and leverage those tools of the people, the connections, to then notice the shifts that are happening, the crumblings. Like, even in my own life, our mortgage we've had to put on hold because of the yearnings and the yeses of like, okay, I'm going to do this, and hone in because my body, my energy is preparing. I'm also reworking things with my relationship and allowing, that spaciousness for our values with my husband and I to come together, and for him to evolve and shift and allow those parts of the old paradigms and the old stories and the old data that is being ingrained to really deconstruct, and our emotional capacity to hold those explosive moments, because our body and our emotions, working with our families or people or friends or children that are witnessing us of course, they're going to have an emotional response because we are rewiring and refiring. So I know my emotional capacity has been really stretched to hold a bandwidth within myself so I can step up to the next level and help those around me do that in a collective state, which again, my journey is like, okay, I'm doing a lot. I'm still feeling the stretch. There's not much in the account, but I'm trusting the conscious wealth in the abundance of my energy and the people and the risks that I take. And I know, like you said, it's inevitable. Like Flea and I were like, we're making our first million this year. My husband even said it. I'm like, yes, we are. We're doing it. We're going to trust in how it gets there. And yeah, being in that embodied decision making that you said of the future self and speaking that way and owning that, I think is really important. And Flea talks a lot about language as well, and being able to embody that through our choice of language and how we speak and show up in conversation with our intimate relationships with ourselves, with others. I think those micro moments, like you were saying, of going within and noticing those subtleties to then shift the external world.
Totally.
Would you agree, Flea?
Totally. Like you said, with the language, it's very much the intention you set, and it's the smallest things too. It was the simple thing of not saying sorry. So we've got this little running thing that instead of saying sorry, it's I'm sexy, and how much that has changed my mindset in that little, very insignificant statement. It's like, I'm not sorry, I'm sexy. And it's like that step back, because I don't need to apologize for being me. I don't need to apologize for having these thoughts or these feelings or even a misunderstanding in that sense. It's like, okay, yeah, I can admit to it, but I don't have to be sorry for it. And the minute that switch from I'm sorry to I'm sexy, I was like, okay, yeah. So now every time it's like, oh, I'm sorry, without even elaborating on it to other people. It's just like, oh yeah, there's my little joke. I'm not really, but we'll just have that running. But that slightest change in the perception, that intellect, just how we talk to ourselves every day, like that has a remarkable difference. Just changing one little thing that you continuously say.
Yeah. The best way to heal our relationship with money is not to have any. If we can experience opulence without it, then we're free.
Yeah.
And it's with the environment and it's with the tools and being surrounding ourselves with people who embody this as well, because what we're doing is literally is being influenced by the way they are, not what they do. And it's the way they are. It's how we be. It's how we be that influences each other. And the best way to really, and for me, the absurdity is, especially with money, is how a single number or a number on a screen we've allowed to determine how we feel about ourselves. That is absurd to me. That is for me to notice that when I was in the negatives, I would feel like absolute like rubbish. I would feel like the worst person in the world. I would feel like I was pathetic. I would feel like that nobody likes me, nobody wants me. I went into those really dark places. And then when I had money, I felt free, and I was like, wow, hang on for a second. That is ridiculous. How dare I give authority to anything that's outside of my own true worth, which is completely priceless, to determine how I feel? I thought that was absurd, and I refused to hand that to my children at any stage. So the greatest work we could do with healing our relationship to money is to not have any and really see how much of a prison we're in. Once we can free ourselves from that, the cycle, the circulation, we have such a deep faith, not just a deep faith, it's a relationship that is co-creative then. Nothing shifts us. We're here for it. We know where we're going, and regardless, like the true journey, I've had millions and millions of dollars move through me since I was 35 years old, through my sphere, through my businesses, through my work in the world. I've also had times where I had nothing. In that too, because I decided to, oh my God, I've got $10,000. I'm going to invest in a coach tomorrow. That's $10,000. Why not? Because I know where I'm going. And so the true journey of that is, yes, a lot has gone through, but circulation is less about what we have and how much we have, and everything to do with the purpose of the wealth and the purpose of the money and our relationship to that and who we are in that, anchored in where we are going. Nothing like completely inevitable success.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's such
The
a different way to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah. And so what I was thinking about as you were sharing that piece, it's like when we think about the polarities, that we are everything and we are no thing, and that release and that surrender and the art of detachment. I mean, the law of a detachment is a law in itself, in the universal law. So for us in our humanness to know that we are, creators, and we are abundant, and we are magnetic and can manifest, but also to let it go, and also know that we don't need to have those things. It's a dance. We were talking with our other guests, this dance of the shadow and the light, with the lack and the prosperity, and that noticing, I suppose, of reciprocity, of when you give, be of service to the purpose and the mission. I think back to a story in the Bible where there was a giving of charity that, Jesus and the disciples, and this poor woman gave everything. It was like 1 or 2 coins she had. She put everything in to this donation, and there were all these other wealthy people, but Jesus picked her out and was like, she is the most wealthiest, the most giving person, because she gave everything to that. And so that's, again, another part of, this journey of noticing these narratives and releasing and surrendering, but also that mission of being of service and shifting out of that martyrdom to that service collective, piece of giving everything of your all, with that intentionality. So what's your, I suppose, insights where we see a lot of people, in the industry of health, wellness, give, and then that martyrdom kind of piece comes in. But there is again a subtle difference. The people that have that wealth consciousness embodied and being of service to others in reciprocity, like what I've noticed, in giving my time and giving the tools that I have, the abundance in people, the connections I've been receiving. And I know the wealth is coming from that now. And that's been something that I've had to subtly shift within, to trust those gifts, to trust those nudges. So I'd love to know, Jax, like your take on looking at this martyrdom, being of service and reciprocity, I suppose, piece here.
Yeah. So this is
It's a
where
lot there.
this is great. This is where we got to get off the bike and really look at the vaster perspective of the ecosystem. There's phases. For example, let's say female entrepreneurism. We'll go there because we're all female entrepreneurs. Regardless of what industry you're in, whether it is, I've been through many of them. I've been through coaching, I've been through spiritual, facilitation, and now in high ticket affiliate marketing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. There's as we move from a conditioned environment of way of being, from going to school, going to get a job, or going to university, that's a specific framework that only has, you continue that, and that timeline continues as it does. But by choosing female entrepreneurship, it challenges the status quo. It challenges, it's a rebellion. It's kind of like, actually that's not for me, but I'm going to go another way. And so in order to do that, we have to be really super mindful of not just our own consciousness, but the consciousness of the collective, societal psychology. And we have to look at it from a vaster perspective. And there's definitely phases in our entrepreneurial journey where giving and stepping out and offering free services is in fact the best thing that we can do, because what we're doing is really creating our own a movement around us. But we have to build trust with each other. Trust in relationships is what business is about. There's so many people that jump out there and go, oh, Jax doesn't do free stuff anymore or do this, and I won't do that because I value myself. I was like, actual bullshit. Sorry, you got to get humbled with what's actually real for you in your journey, and you've got to build relationships. You've got to grow and gather trust. We exchange income when we trust each other. So for many, many years, I was giving and offering, and I was in that phase. And then from there, my level of consciousness as a female entrepreneur, or experience, I prefer to say, shifted. Therefore, I started from offering coaching services at $22, then $44, and then $88, and then $133, then $333, and now $555 for 90 minutes of my time. Because in that space, I have created evidence of multiple six figures moving through my organization, but at the beginning had to give away for free. And in that, it just, what we learn, and I think it's really important to share this, that we can only learn this through our own experience. I can't say this to you. I can't say this to someone that's just starting out, or even partway through, like, a few years into their journey. I can't say to you, honor your time more, honor your time. So, it doesn't land unless it's embodied. We only honor our time when we realize the repercussions of not honoring our time. It comes from a place of, I don't want to do that again. Not from the place of, oh, Jax told me to not to say no to. I was like, hang on for a second. No. I do that because I've been through the damn journey. The juice is in the journey. The journey will curate us and create us. And literally, I am in a space now where I only work with my team, right? And I can do that because I've given all of the martyrdom away. I've been like, here, everyone, have some martyrdom. I'll save you. Until I'm the one that's drowning. And it's until I realize I have the sensations of drowning and feeling like I owe people, or feeling like I'm in this thing that it does not enjoyable. That's when I strongly choose from a place of, actually, that doesn't work for me, and this is why I'm doing this. Not because anyone told me. No one could tell me. I wasn't embodied to actually do that until I was embodied to do that. So in summary of that, to answer that question, it's staying power. Staying power. Yeah. The journey will curate us. The journey is what develops us. The staying power, the remaining on course, and knowing that success is inevitable. Staying on course. That is when, over time, the martyrdom has to strip away, because you get so tired of it.
It's so funny that you say that. Was like my exact sort of expression as I went to work yesterday, because I've had to go back into the school system, and the whole way there I'm like, this is not my joy, I don't want to do it. But I'm sitting there telling myself, okay, I get to do it, and trying to pump myself up so much to enjoy it. And it's like, it really isn't where my heart lies. And that expenditure of energy, it crushes me by the time, like, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, which I shouldn't, in the reflection, and I'm like, I'm so tired. Like, why am I so tired? It was one day of work, like literally one day of work, but it was the energy and the frequency that was so going against myself the entire time. And it's like, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. Something has to shift. And it's not that I hate my job or that I don't like teaching or any of that sort of stuff. It's just the environment, and knowing that it's not conducive of the actual spirit and the joy and the love that it should be. It's like these are young people. They should be, joyful and happy and excited and imaginative and just all of the things. And they're not. And it's like, if I can't get children excited, how am I meant to be excited? And that's, it's a really hard lesson because, the world revolves around money and I've still got to pay bills and I've still got to do the things. And it's like, how do I separate myself from what I actually do like about the job to what I don't? And I know we're sort of running out of a little bit of time here because you have another appointment. So we won't get too far into that one. Anything
But yeah,
else?
that staying power. Yeah, no, I think that staying power piece and noticing the resistance,
Mm,
but then it's also that conscious choice, as we've gotten off the bike, we're rebuilding this, we're aware of these 3D parts of the world, and then noticing that the baby steps and this is for anyone that's listening, the baby steps that you do take while you are transitioning and co-creating the next phase, that staying power is building. So
mm,
for me, I've noticed that even in stepping into this platform speaking realm and getting out into bigger spaces and stages, noticing the shift that I want for my family and my daughter, and the vision of us changing a whole paradigm. Like Flea and I, we're changing a whole paradigm of teaching and learning, inviting people like yourself to open minds. Like, this work is for the generations to come. And I know, Jax, you talk also about legacy, and Flea, you've got this beautiful holding capacity to notice these things and question deeply and still be passionate about the mission. And when people feel us in this, knowing that we are in this journey right now, that what is being created through these systems, through opportunities of events, gathering children, young people, adults together, like, this is the way forward. Like, what, Jax, you've experienced and what you're creating, like, I see this world and this legacy of these old paradigms and structures breaking away. And we notice internally first, and the staying power and the resilience that we're building in these bridging moments, because we are the bridge. We are the bridge that, in having those people that surround us to help motivate us and to honor our practices and to regenerate and bring that fire and that passion back online, then these again are the ripple effects of bringing more communities together and speaking more about it online and in person. And before we go, Jax, I know legacy is big on your heart. So what is it, I suppose, that you want to leave and live now a legacy of, not only for your children, but the people that, you surround yourself with, an impact?
Can I just detour one quickly backwards? I just want to speak into
Yes, go.
what you just shared, and I have a quick story that may land for you because I can feel in what you're feeling. Like, I feel that tension.
mm,
You're at a tension point, and in 2022, I went through massive collapsing in my life, and that was that really challenged me emotionally. I separated from a 5-year relationship that was a surprise, and there was deceit behind the scene. It was just crazy, and emotionally, I was not well. Simultaneously, I was also facilitating very high end experiences where retreats, we're selling retreats at
mm,
$10,000 per person, or high end retreats. Also facilitating high end coaching programs as well. This was the life that I knew. This was my income that I was used to. I had created, this is how I created my life. I was earning income through paying clients. Big move from being an employee. There was a time in, I think it was June or July 2022, and all I could feel was dread for the next retreat.
mm,
And I just was, what's going on? I'm really good
mm,
at retreats. Like, I'm a weapon at retreats. Like, this is easy, but for
yeah,
some reason I'm not enjoying this. There's something's not right. And it's a flagging of our season shifting,
mm,
changing. That's what I see it as. But at the time, all I could think was like, oh my God, okay, so I've got $80,000. I've got a 80% capacity nearly full for the next retreat. I only got 20% to fill. That's like an $80,000 revenue that I've made from paying customers. And then all I need to do is sell like a couple of more and to fill the retreat. So I'm in this decision of like, what do I do? Do I just get on with it? Do I just get on with it? Because, you know, that's like I've got to get on with it. Or the other option is to close it together and then refund $80,000 that I didn't have. It all kind of circulated into the retreats and all my businesses, right? I chose to refund. I chose the latter because that actually stepping into that another day into the bread. I couldn't. I was like destroying my experience. I was destroying my soul. But because of that, what opened up, what opened up after that, even though I had no idea what I was going to do after that. I mean, I did have my business, my high ticket affiliate marketing, but I also had no clue. I was also terrified. But what opened up after that was exactly what I needed. An opening.
Absolutely.
So I shared with you. You're in the combustion. And I know you said I've got to still pay bills, but hang on for a sec. Don't deny the magic that's available. Don't deny the miracles that is available by choosing your gifts, and choosing your yes, and choosing what's right for you. It takes a lot of courage, and these are the bold moves. These are the bold ones.
That's why I'm sitting here and not at work, because I was called up to actually go in today as well. It was like, no, sorry, not today. not today. Yeah.
And
those bold moves.
100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier. It never gets easier. It shouldn't get easier. As our consciousness grows, expands, it never gets easier. It just becomes a bigger problem. But because of the smaller problems, we get used to the bigger problems, and we have evidence that everything's going to be fine. Everything is always fine, right? So the legacy, honestly, legacy for me, defining legacy for me right now does have everything to do with legacy wealth, just because I've never heard of the concept before 5 years ago. I never understood I didn't even understand it. And having lost my father and having inheritance, that was gone within a few years, right? I didn't know it was possible to actually pour my energy and pour my desire to develop as an entrepreneur into a space that actually solidified a legacy income for my family after I'm gone, and that grows and keeps going. That's where legacy really sits for me, in terms of important for me right now. In terms of leaving a legacy, I'm already doing that. We all are, regardless. We're doing it anyway. Right? I still think of my father's lessons and my mother's lessons and what I learned from them. They left a legacy. So if we can be really intentional about the legacy we leave, that's a different story. We can keep going, the trail of the legacy going, or we can really create a whole nother one. And my children right now, the legacy I've left them is a complete transformation of their mother, who was always stressed, who was always worried, who was yelling at them, who was not really clear, not knowing she's going, and making rash decisions, and always feeling frustrated, to a version of me now that my daughter and I are so deeply connected, because I'm calm, I'm peaceful, I have, we have an amazing relationship to money now. My children are like, instead of, oh, that's too expensive, or Mum, can I get that? Oh, that's too expensive. It doesn't exist for us anymore. That's what they're going to leave their children, and then their children, and then and it's the beliefs, and it's the shift of the narratives that I shifted from my parents to creating a whole new slate moving forward. We're always leaving a legacy regardless.
Absolutely.
I love that. And that bold moves, the pieces that you shared with Flea was like a perfect lead-in, because we're living it. Like you said, we're living it. And just keep taking those steps and those leaps of faith, and living life bold and unapologetically ourselves, and that with that intention and purpose and heart-centered approach. So thank you so much for your time, Jax. I know you've got to jump off shortly, but if people want to find you and connect with you, how can they do that?
Facebook, Jax Faulkner on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Jax_legacy era. That's really that easy. I'm pretty much everywhere. So in your dreams, I will visit you in your dreams.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's a whole other conversation. But you have visited me in my dreams, and I've shared it with Flea. And I love that we've had this conversation today, and we really appreciate your time. And anyone that's listening in, if you have loved this conversation and you want to get in touch with Flea and I, please do. We are looking for amazing speakers that are heart-centered, that feel this medicine and doing this really embodied community work and building their own legacy and living it. We're looking for speakers for our Seeking Sovereign Souls Summit in April, the 24th to the 27th. We have already an amazing lineup of speakers from Prague to Canada to US, from Brazil, Australia joining us. So if you're keen to come and be a part of that summit, send us a DM and we will send you some information. But thank you so much for your time, Jax, and we will speak with you soon.
Appreciate you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Bye.